Hey subs, I wanted to talk to you guys about one of the biggest struggles that I have had being a franchisee and owning a Subway. And it's really going to boil down to the employees. And I'll have like a little story time here, really good examples of why I think it's one of the most difficult things. It is the human element of the store. Everything else I could run flawlessly. Every procedure, if I was running it myself, right? Just me, maybe my wife, even my kids in there doing the work, we could run that store. It would be the best Subway you've ever seen. Everything would be prepped perfectly. Every sandwich would look amazing. Every piece of produce would look freshest and crisp. Every single aspect of that business would be perfect. But when we bring things back to reality, I did not purchase a Subway to have to work a 9 to 5, right? We have employees and I have other people to deal with. I have one employee that was there with me from the start when I first purchased the store, and this employee has been a great blessing. Without this one, we would have been there open to close in the beginning, many days ourselves. The one I'm talking about is a rock star, has been in Subway for many years, before I came along, and really knows what they're doing. Since then, I have had to hire and fire several people. Part of this might be my fault. I can own up to at least one or two of them that were definitely my fault. The ones that I'm referring to that were my fault were a guy that I hired. Now keep in mind, these are high schoolers. Times have changed, that's for sure. I don't know if this is also a part of me getting older. So I hired this employee, this new person. They're going through training. I know mistakes are going to be made. People have to learn how to do things, and that's one of the bigger expenses of owning a business like this, is really the money and time, effort, and mistakes that you put into training someone. Well, this person was, I guess I hired them, I just hired too quickly, because in the beginning I just really needed to bring on new people, so I wasn't in the store every day and I would get them trained up. So, and it's a fast food job, so low barrier to entry. These are skills that you learn on the job, no previous experience required. High schoolers can do it. I bring this person in, and to not make the story too long, they dropped several sandwiches. They had a hard time picking up even basic sandwich builds, things like where to put the meat, cheese, or veggies on the top or bottom portion of the bread. And then kind of what the last straw was, two things. One, they didn't know the difference between chicken and steak. That kind of blew my mind to begin with. The second thing was they did not know how to count back change, or they did not know how to give change. And let me describe that here, because when I say count back change, all they had to do was, when somebody pays with cash, you punch the number in, you hit cash, and it tells you the change to give them on the register. So say it might say give them $12.58 back. They could not count back the accurate amount of money just grabbing it out of the register and handing it back. Like, they couldn't figure out the best way to make 58 cents. That is just crazy. They looked at me while I was training them. I was like teaching them how to use the register during this time, and they were doing the change. They just looked at me and said, I can't do this. I was like, you can't do what? The change to give back. So I had to step in and give the change. Needless to say, I took that person off a register that day, and then I came back later. I did not fire them immediately. I offered to actually sit down with them and teach them. I was like, hey, I understand that, this is your first job. Maybe you haven't done these things before. Let me sit down and teach you how to give back change. Let me teach you the basic math and things you need to do this. They did not want to take me up on that offer. I don't know if they felt insulted or not. Insulting them was not my intention, if that's how they felt. My intention was really to teach them. I homeschool my kids. My daughter learned how to count back change in either her first or second year of homeschool. And this person is about to graduate high school. So that's crazy, just mind blowing. That's one example. And the next one that was just wild is I have an older employee that's a male. They're 55. When I hired them, I did not know they had some, much about their past. And when I hire people, it's illegal for me to not hire them based off of certain things, but it would have been still good information to know. This 55-year-old male was working with a 16-year-old female. And I know where you think this is going. It's not going there. The male is a recovering alcoholic, apparently. I guess they're starting to relapse. I think they're forced to quit a lot of their addictive things. He has a lot of heart problems, things like that. So I think he's kind of forced medically to sober up. He asked the female, keep in mind this lady has just turned 16, and asked her, say, hey, after work, can you give me a ride to go pick up liquor? That's just huge no, can't do that. One, you would think, being a 55-year-old male, that you would know that you should not be alone in a car with a coworker that's underage for any reason. And keep in mind, this guy, he lives close to the store, so he kind of walks to work too. He can walk to work, but because of his heart condition and things like that, sometimes he's had to get like rides home, and she's offered rides home, which I told him, don't do that. You're putting yourself in a very risky position. You do not need to be alone in a car with a 16-year-old that you do not know only through your work. He asked her to go get liquor and then played it off like he's joking. Her dad comes in later just to check on his daughter, like get something to eat, while his daughter's working. She can make the sandwich or whatever. I'm just ordering some food from her, his daughter. This guy proceeds to also ask the father, hey, when I get off of work, when I clock out, can you take me to the liquor store? You can't be on the clock asking people to go and pick up liquor for you. And this guy is kind of, he's a good worker, I would say, makes mistakes, probably more mistakes than I would like him to make, but overall, not a bad worker, right? But just unfortunately, I don't think he had any ill intentions when he was asking these people these things. I just think it maybe went over his head and he didn't just realize what he was doing, on the clock. But it's very unprofessional, not really okay with me. The next, I guess, third example of dealing with difficult employees would be this one worker that I got she's 20 years old. When they apply, they always say, yeah, I got reliable transportation, these things in the applications. Well, this girl cannot show up on time to save her life. She is always late, and it turns out her reliable transportation is another person she has to rely on to get to work that has a job that sometimes goes late, causes her to show up late, which probably shouldn't have said super reliable transportation, but then again, I probably would not have hired her if she didn't, right? And I have been extremely lenient with all of these employees. I've other than the people I fired initially, the ones that I'm talking about now are still with me. I've had to do a write-up here and there for some things, but, most places would have probably fired you by now for these things. And especially this girl that's always late. People who are working with her are usually like, oh God, is she going to come in late and I'm going to be in the middle of a rush alone because she's coming in late? And that's not fair to them. But I'm trying to work with people. I'm trying to give people that are in either unfortunate circumstances a chance, people that just need a little help. I'm trying to give them a chance. But I feel like a lot of these employees, I'm not sure if they just don't value their job. Obviously, you're not making the most money in the world. When you're working at fast food. A job's a job, especially in a town where it's hard to get one and there's not many places hiring. So I don't know their mindset there. And getting them to work to an acceptable level is a whole other issue. I feel like people nowadays just don't want to work that hard. I have procedures printed out on the paper that is like step 1 this, step 2 this. We have Subway University training that corporate provides on how to do things. I have to provide personal training myself, and it's still people forget, people skip things, still people half-ass their work. So I really have to always stay on them. And that's one thing I don't want to be. I don't want to have a work environment where you're always having to get on somebody's ass for meet basic requirements and do their job well. Because me personally, I'm a firm believer that no matter what job you do, no matter what job you work, you should do it well. I'm not saying you got to go kill yourself out there for it, kill your body or whatever, but do it well. You don't have to be the top performer in the whole company. Just do a good job. Just do a good job. Like clean all the things you're supposed to clean, tick all the boxes you're supposed to tick, do an acceptable job. Don't skip things. Don't, leave early and without your task finished or whatever. Just cover the basics, not asking too much. I don't know if that's maybe a societal thing that's new to me with hiring and working with people in person. When I was doing SEO, that business, everybody's digital, basically hiring editors, writers, and it was task, completion based. They complete one article, they get paid for one article. I can see the results instantly. I can send it back for review. It's a little different. It's a lot different. This is probably my biggest struggle so far. And maybe that's me growing as a business owner, learning to hire better, train better, and things like that. And, I watch some of the advice of these other, I don't know if you want to call them gurus. You got Gary Vee, you got Alex Ramosi and things like that. And, their advice on hire slow, fire fast. These kind of mantras are, I don't know if they apply, these kind of things don't always apply to every business. Some of them, I'm not so sure if they apply to mine or not. I do think I have a long way to go personally in that department of picking great people to work for me. Even in the fast food business, if they're a good worker, they're going, you know, I don't pay minimum wage. I have to compete with the market rate here. If they are a really good employee, I'm willing to pay more than market rate. Still, you're not going to make a killing. It's still fast food, but you're going to get paid, you know, decently for compared to the local market rate if you're a great employee. That's it for this video. That's my biggest struggle. Hopefully I can improve and become a better owner as far as managing and hiring and training people. Until the next one.